Hey guys, T here. Today we're going to do some soldering. We're going to use a big old soldering iron, a medium-sized soldering iron, a little teeny soldering iron, a soldering gun, and a torch. We're going to use lead-free solder, lead solder, acid solder, acid core solder, rosin core solder, all kinds of stuff. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Please subscribe. Let's put some stuff together. Well, we've heated up this big old soldering iron. And a couple of things I want to say is first, you want to keep the tip of the soldering iron clean. So it's hot now, and as you can see, it's pretty clean. Now, if it really gets messed up, you can take a file and get down to where the copper is. You know, past what solder is on there, and clean it off. Let's do that on the front here, on this face. Let's see. So we want to tin this, which means so it has some solder on the outside of the tip, and we're going to use our lead solder to do that. Okay. Nice and clean, ready to go. It's important in soldering to keep the pieces clean. I mean real clean, I mean shiny. So I like to take a piece of sandpaper and clean it off. We're going to use acid core lead solder. So we want to let this soldering iron stay on there until it heats up the metal real well. And so what will happen is the solder will go down there towards the heat. See? Okay. So we're going to use lead solder. I'm going to put a little bit of paste on there, even though this has got some acid in it. So a little bit of soldering paste on anything that we want to adhere. And let it heat up. I could see the paste bubbling. I'm going to hold it down while I pick the soldering iron up. Just give it a moment. So we're making this little part out of brass. We want to be sure it's clean. We're going to use acid core solder with no flux other than the acid. We'll see if we can't heat this up pretty good before we add the solder. I like to be neat in this one too. Let's see, we're nice and hot. Let's see if we're nice and hot down here. Not yet. Looks like to me we got solder peeking through here, which I like. This one needs a little cleaning up. Here's some number 10 electrical wire. I want to solder it together with some rosin core solder. We're going to let it heat up this wire. This is heavy duty stuff here. And then we'll put the rosin core solder on it. Let's see how we're doing. Well, the iron's hot anyway. We got a little bit of penetration there. Then we'll let this thing heat up more and more. I got something going. Okay, here's our number 10 wire. I think this is real secure. Make a good electrical contact. We just got a lot of insulation to do here with tape or something like that. And we're going to try this little teeny soldering iron. I don't know if this has got enough heat, but we're going to try it. And we're going to wait a good amount of time to heat this thing up. Got more than I thought. Well, not horrible. It had enough heat to go through. I'd like to have a little more heat, but does seem to be at least melting the solder. Yeah, I put it together. I'd like a little more heat penetration though. See on this back side, it didn't pull any of the solder through that, but it's strong. You know, you could clean this off with sandpaper, and it does a good job. We're going to use lead-free solder, and we're going to use some of this soldering paste for lead-free. Lead-free. So we're hoping that this will follow the heat and go up because we want this to be waterproof. So I think real plumbers test this with high pressure air or something. We are not a real plumber, so we're going to just pour some water in here and try to keep it in the middle without going on the outside. I don't see any water coming out. Let's solder brass and steel. Acid core. Too much solder. I need a thinner bead. Well, I think there's just too much solder here. And only kind of acid solder I got's this thick. But I've got some rosin solder that's thinner. See, this is much thinner than the acid. So I think I'm going to try this. Okay, we're using rosin core solder on this one because the solder is thinner. Now, I don't want to have so much solder on there. I want a little neater job if I can do it. It's definitely neater, and I see that the solder right around here, so it penetrated okay. I'd like to make this neater if I can. So I'm going to put some paste on it and try it again. I don't think I'm going to add any more solder. I think I'll just try to clean up what's there. There's plenty of heat. I don't know why it won't run. Okay, I've cleaned this thing up again, and I'm going to put a minimal amount of flux paste on here. I think maybe that was a problem I had earlier. If you use too much flux, it just smokes and it messes it up. So hopefully this is going to make it run. Yeah, much better. Here's our little part cleaned up. The soldering is much cleaner and much neater than it was before. That's the way I like to do it. So that's soldering 101. I soldered everything I could think of and used every piece of equipment I could think of, except a blowtorch, and I used to use those years ago, but that's the subject of another video. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Please subscribe. I'll see you next time.